If you've ever avoided roses because you thought they were high maintenance divas, you're not wrong, a lot of them are, but let me introduce you to a rose that has completely changed my mind, the drift rose. I've grown apricot drift roses for years. As a matter of fact, I did a video on transplanting 3 apricot drifts to this bed here and adding a few more to create a beautiful border around a crimson spire oak tree as a foundation planting. So today I want to give you your ultimate care guide for drift roses. It's super easy, and I also want to introduce you to their latest addition, the Scarlet Drift Rose for 2026. Drift Roses did sponsor this video today, but I've been growing drifts long before this partnership. Hi, I'm Heather Blackmore, and I live and garden in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, zone 5B, 6-ish, and I love sharing with you all the different things that I grow in my garden, why I grow them. I lean toward things that are super easy to grow and give a lot of bang for their buck, and drift roses is one of them. Drift roses are an excellent ground cover rose. They only get to be about 1.5 to 2 feet tall and about 2 to 3 feet wide, so they're great for the front of the border. Drift roses are super cold hardy. They're hardy in zones 4 to 11. They're own root roses, and I love own root roses because I don't have to worry about a bud union that has to be buried deep enough to withstand a cold climate. They're disease resistant, drought tolerant once established, and super pollinator friendly. They're also excellent for problem areas like slopes where you might want to plant them in mass to prevent erosion. And if you're a container gardener, drift roses are awesome for you too. You can pop them in a container even in a cold climate. So let's say you live in zone 6. These are hardy to zone 4. Chances are you can overwinter them in a container and leave them outside and they'll come back next year. Now if you're zone 5, you might want to bring these into a protected space, maybe an unheated garage or a protected spot, a little microclimate in your garden to overwinter them to ensure they come through. But they're super tough and great for so many different growing situations. Drift roses are not demanding, certainly not divas. They don't ask for much. Give them at least 6 hours of full-on sun. These guys bake all day. So from about 11 o'clock in the morning until sunset, these roses here are loving life. They get all the sun they need and they perform. Granted, this is a newer bed. 3 transplants from another part of the garden and 4 new roses, so they've not reached full size yet, but they're going to be beautiful in a couple years. Another key thing is well-draining soil, and I do not have that. I have heavy clay soil, so my way around that is every time I go to plant a drift rose or anything in my garden, I'm always adding a few shovelfuls of compost just to amend that soil and give them some nutrients to get started. And then every year I'll go and top dress those roses with a little bit of more compost just to give them a little bit more nutrients every season. And as far as spacing goes, I planted these guys about 2.5 feet on center. Drift roses get to be about 2 to 3 feet wide. So I cut it in the middle and did a 30-inch spacing from center to center of each plant. And then I mulch them in and water them until established. So what does that mean, until established? Well, that's different for everybody, and it's important to get in there and check your soil, especially when you've added the mulch to it. The mulch can absorb all of that moisture, so you want to pull the mulch away, get your hand in there and see if that soil is it's consistently moist. You don't want to soak it day after day after day and just waterlog the thing, but you want to make sure that they've got the moisture they need so those roots can grow out into your soil and establish. And full disclosure here, I don't have a drip system. I am the drip system, and I do not water plants after I get them established. So that's why I love drift roses so much. They are so drought tolerant. I don't baby these guys once I get them established. That's not to say I never water though. If we're in a severe drought, I will go in there and give them some supplemental water, but that's pretty much the extent of it. As far as pruning goes, it couldn't be any simpler. These guys get hacked back to 6 inches above the ground, which is what I did with these guys this past spring. Early spring is a good time to do it. Hacked them back, cleaned them up. I didn't worry about cutting above 5 leaves. I didn't think about any of that. I just went and chopped them all off so that they were all pretty uniform in height. And then a slow release fertilizer scratched into the soil around the drip line of the plant, scratched it in, watered it in. Actually, I didn't even water it in. I waited for the forecast to say we had rain coming, and I was going to take advantage of Mother Nature and let her water in the fertilizer for me. And that's all I do. And now we're entering the first flush of flowers. So let's fast forward a little bit. Once that first flush happens and they're done flowering, I'll go in with another application of slow release organic fertilizer, scratch that in just to give them the nutrients, because roses are heavy feeders. However, there are times when I've forgotten to do that second application and these flowers, these drift roses continue to perform. Which brings me to the next point. You don't have to deadhead if you don't want to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and they still flower. And what's interesting about these is they're on like a 3 to 4 week flowering cycle. So every 3 to 4 weeks you get another flush of flowers, but you still have flowers and buds, so there's a lot of interest going on before that next flush happens. These guys flower from about mid-May all the way up to our first frost. Roses are notorious for pest and disease issues, but not drift roses. These guys come through the summer virtually unscathed. There might be a few nibbles from things, but I let that go. They just keep performing. There's no black spot issue, no bacterial issues. They're just a wonderful rose. They're heat and drought tolerant and very, very cold hardy. So I mentioned they're hardy in zones 4 to 11. So this is the northwest side of my home. And in the wintertime, it gets pummeled by that northwest wind. And they look beautiful. And they've not even been in the ground for a year. And now I want to introduce you to my latest drift introduction, the Scarlet Drift, which is brand new for 2026. And to be honest with you, I am shocked that I love a red rose. I'm not particularly fond of red, but I'm loving this red. Let me show you. And this is the new introduction for 2026. This is Scarlet Drift. Scarlet Drift is the earliest bloomer of the entire drift collection, and it's a big flower. So when you compare it to red drift, which is the smallest flower form of the drifts, Scarlet Drift has a bigger flower. It's the open habit, it's a single form, so it means that center is exposed, which makes it more pollinator friendly, and it's fragrant. My apricot drift roses are fragrant too, which I can't have a rose if it doesn't have a fragrance to it. Drift sent me 4 Scarlet Drifts, and I decided to use them as the skirt. I love skirts around my bigger plants. So I decided to skirt my Bosnian pine here. I've got a mint truffle Bosnian pine behind it. This entire border is a redo because I lost some trees last year, had them removed. And so I'm slowly redesigning it. So I thought the Scarlet Drifts would be a great front of the border plant for the Bosnian pine, and then I've done some catmint behind it. I've got some cat's meow behind it, and I thought the purple airy flowers of the catmint would really accentuate the deep red flower color on my drift roses, and green always looks good with red, so it would be a really nice combination. So this is what the Scarlet Drifts look like right now. This is the spot, the back corner of my yard where I had the pussy willows removed. And then it opened up this space, and the space has become, it's no longer a shade garden here, it's a very sunny garden. Around 11 o'clock, the sun bakes it until sunset. So it makes it a perfect spot for the Scarlet Drift. So I dug those directly into the grass because I'm going to sheet mulch all of this. But before I located these guys, I drew in my line with some rope and some landscape paint, so I know what my edge is going to be. And then I planted the Scarlet Drifts a foot back from that. And then I was also considering the mature size of my mint truffle Bosnian pine, which is about 8 to 10 feet. I went on the smaller side, so I went with the 8-foot maturity size. And I divided that 8 feet in half, so that's 4 feet. And then I took half of the width of the Scarlet Drifts at maturity. I went with the smaller size at 2 feet, so took half of that. So the 4 feet here plus the 1 foot here means I needed a 5 feet distance from the Bosnian pine to this here. So that makes sure everything grows in the way it's supposed to and will look lush and gorgeous. I spaced these guys 2 feet apart, so 24 inches on center, so 24 inches from the center of this plant to the center of this, and I carried that through all the way around. I went with a little wider in the front border because I had a bit more space, so the Apricot Drifts out front were 30 inches on center. Then back here I did some cat's meow Nepeta, which I thought would be a really nice complement. So this is early stages of a new bed, and I'm so excited to include Scarlet Drift roses in the front border to anchor this planting bed and be incredibly low maintenance and constantly in flower and just easy. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find another rose that would be incredibly easy to grow like these guys. So I'm curious though, would you grow a red rose? I never thought I'd be excited about a red rose in my garden, but I'm excited about Scarlet Drift. So tell me, would you grow a red rose? And if you do grow drifts, what color are you currently growing and what do you think about them? So all the information about drift is in the link in the description. If you're interested in all the other colors in drift roses, and there are several, the link is in the description, you can find it there. I'll update you later in the year and in the years to come about how my Scarlet Drifts grow in, and I'm excited to share that with you and so excited to collaborate with Drift Roses and share their latest introduction, the new for 2026 Scarlet Drift. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and if you like the video, throw up a thumbs up, subscribe, I'd love to have you along, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.